Hello everybody, Daz here, long time no see, but I'm back. Today we will have a look on items that was in my possession for a long time. Enermax NeoChanger, which is a reservoir and pump combo with RGB function, which is very important, as you know. So we have RGB now everywhere. Anyways, so I had this for a while, and every time I tried to review it, something happened. My camera blew, or lots of things to do in the office, or I tried to film it and my SD card blew and I didn't have anyone to replace. So it's like really scary. So now I try to trick the system. I have a lot of other stuff on the table, so somebody above doesn't really knew in advance what I'm going to review. But we don't need Threadripper, we don't need this power supply from Seasonic, latest model by the way. We don't need even toy from Beats Power and Samsung 960 SSD. We need only this. So the plan for today is pretty big. I'm going to unbox it, we check for accessories, and we actually will plug it through the system of quick disconnects into my test bench, and we check how much flow rate we get with D5. Then we switch off D5 and we power up this one, and we'll see how much flow rate we get with this one. So we get some a little bit ideas how powerful pump is, and so we have some point of reference. I wouldn't lie to you, I did a little bit of research because I'm so late to the game. Most of reviews pop up almost 3 months ago. So I check out what other people saying. Most of reviews was absolutely waste of bloody time even to click on them and click away. And mostly just open a box, says, oh my god, this can be green, can be blue and can be red. Cool. And no more information. So we'll skimp on that as fast as we could, and we actually look on the practical implementation and check it out. So you see the box is fully sealed. I didn't open it, like I do it with you, but I actually know what to expect inside. So with this will be a little bit help with the process of reviewing. I suppose to get the biggest model. There are the 3 models, a different height of reservoir. So you select the one that you prefer because of size of your case. Obviously, if you have a big case, it makes sense to get a bigger reservoir. And if you have a small case, compact build, you obviously need a smaller reservoir. For those who have no clue, would like to repeat it for the 100th time that the size of a reservoir doesn't give you any advantages in a cooling performance. It's strictly for looks. Also, bigger reservoir, a little bit easy in terms of the bleeding, which means getting air out of your system when it's empty, it's full of air. So, but realistically, the size of the reservoir gives you nothing other than looks and a little bit easier process of bleeding at the beginning. So let's see what we have here. I don't think I miss anything. So box is out. We have accessory box and we have a reservoir box. Nothing sealed, which is nice. So let's look on the highlights of the unit. This is a typical configuration of any reservoir and pump combo, so to speak. We have a D5-like pump on the bottom. I don't know is it D5 pump or not. We will disassemble it after we do actual test. I don't want to fiddle with this from the beginning, just in case, you know, something goes wrong and things like this. We have a reservoir on top, which can be different lengths, and a bracket already attached to it. So let's check what kind of accessories coming extra to that. I assume there has to be some sort of RGB control and things like this. Right, so we have additional bracket. It's not necessary to use it, so you can use it to stabilize pump a little bit, like reservoir, top portion of reservoir a little bit if you require it. If you bolt it to the bottom of your case with this bracket, obviously there's absolutely no reason in this thingy. But if you feel paranoid or you don't attach it very strongly to the bottom of the case, you can use it, but realistically it's optional item in most of the cases. We have a little bit more stuff here. Let's see what it is. A couple of rubber gaskets which help you insulate or vibration of the pump if it needed. It's very thin and it's not foam, so foam a little bit insulate better. This is actual the rubber, so it's a bit like hard material which insulate I think a little bit less, but still it's better than nothing. Some sort of key that I assume that helps you to assemble things. Additional bracket, which I would guess this probably goes somewhere on the side or something that allows you to do probably vertical sort of mount. To be honest with you, I don't see it right away where it goes. So let's look on the manual quickly. Yeah. Well, you need to remove that bracket and then you can attach this bracket to the bottom of the pump. So it's either this or that, so it's two separate things. So nicely you have a nice manual with pictures that describe everything that you need. We have a jumper for PSU. Most people already have it or can do it themselves, but for newbies it's cool. What it's for, you connect it to your power supply when it's not connected to motherboard, and it tricks power supply to start itself. So you can use power from power supply to bleed your system and test your system before you power up entire stuff, because if something leaks by accident, you might have shortcut. But if you just run pump from external sources, if even trouble happened, not big deal, you just wipe it and no bad stuff will happen. Another gasket for optional brackets that we already discussed. Set of screws, a little bit Velcro for cables, and we have a remote control that look very like traditional remote control for any other RGB controller on the market. One thing that keep in mind that they always change codes a little bit from batch to batch, from manufacturer to manufacturer, so controller looks similar, but the signals they're sending can be totally different. We have a lot of controllers in a store and you can't interchange remote controls, so you press like some red and it might turn green or whatever, so it's just total random. So make sure you use correct controller that comes with the unit, otherwise you might have a funny results. It also has a kind of sleeve with magnets, I believe. This is aluminum case, so it doesn't help much. But if we will try to find some sort of metal part, I assume that it will, yeah. So that helps you to put it somewhere inside, you never lose it. That's actually a very smart way to make things so props for picking up on that idea. Let's look briefly on a couple components. The top feels like very cold, so I think it's made out of metal. I wonder what it's made of, because it's very shiny. It looks like a solid piece of aluminum, which is basically bad news, because we don't want any aluminum in our cases. Everybody knows it, except Thermatec, of course. Alright, so let me scratch it. Oh yes, it's absolutely silver color. So the top cap made out of aluminum, which might create corrosion issues with your copper block and your copper other components. Let's see what the fittings they use, what metal of the fitting. I think it's yellow. I need to scratch more. Yes, it's definitely brass. So we have aluminum and brass. Not cool. It will be smarter if they just use, instead of aluminum cup, they'll just use a plastic cup. It will be so much better. And looking in a hole where the water is coming to the pump, it's definitely not D5. It looks totally different type of impeller, so it's not D5 pump, it's something else. And we have somewhere we have RGB stuff inside. I'm wondering if it's where it is located. I cannot quite see, to be honest with you, actual LEDs itself, but I think it's inside of that ring. That idea not new. We know that AlphaCool offering those rings for a while now, so this is a kind of not really like new thing, so just use it again. I would like to mention that doesn't matter alpha cool this, it's really not good idea to use such LED rings with the pastel liquids, because pastel actually get baked out of heat from LEDs. You might have burn like marks inside of your reservoir. For the clear liquid, it usually doesn't matter, you don't have any ill effect. One thing that I would like to mention before we do that, you can change speed of this pump with remote control, believe it or not. There's some numbers on the bottom part of your control. It says like you have a 1500, 2500, 3500, up to 4000 type of RPMs, or you can fine-tune it with 150 RPMs ups and down. So in case if you have a little bit of bubble inside and pump kind of noisy, you can't really get rid of this bubble. So the easiest way to reduce noise from the cavitating pump is actually reduce it of its speed. It will marginally affect your temperatures unless you go really far down, but it's good idea that you have regulated pump. For that reason, I always, if customers ask me directly which pump to buy, like for example for D5, I always say extra 10 bucks for Vario, worth it. So fixed speed pumps it can be a little bit nuisance if things can go wrong in the noise department. Alrighty, let's work on assembling this pump. I don't know, I probably switch it off because making time lapse not really cool things to do. So I see you in 1 second. Alright guys, I'm back. I filled up the Reservoir and Pump Combo with connected quick disconnect and inserted as a part of the loop. So we now have one giant loop going on together that includes 2 reservoirs and 3 pumps essentially, because I have two D5s on my own. This is one from Enermax and everything else. For those of you who want to be very specific, I have heat killer GPU block, GPU X3, and I have a heat killer for CPU block, and for radiator it's EK EX360. So that's my component. So in terms of restriction, we have one GPU, one CPU, and one radiator. The rest is just pumps itself, right? So if you want some point of reference, you have it. So now what we will do, we will check the flow rates with D5s and 1 and 2, and then we power up this unit and we'll check the numbers of we're getting from Enermax unit, and we'll get some idea where it belongs in terms of performance on this particular configuration. So let me find the power button. I have this ring connected to totally separate, I don't have on the motherboard any RGB header, so I just connected to RGB controller. So let's see. I hope you can see this is kind of bright. Alright, so we need to switch to correct flow meter. This is a coolant flow meter. And we have a 3 liters per minute running with 2 D5 pumps on full speed. If I slow down one of the pumps, basically switch it off because they power up from this controller. I have a custom wiring here. We losing 1 liter. So we went down to 2 liters. From 3. Okay, so this is on the maximum, this is switch off, this is a speed 5. Now, next part of this little experiment, we connect this pump and see what's happened. My RGB connection, very flimsy, it's basically on a duct tape. Right. So maximum speed of this unit is supposed to be 4000 RPM. Let's use remote control and make sure we press on the button here. You probably can't see because it's so not very bright, and it's also in red. So it says 3570, so not 4000 RPM. I tried to press plus button a couple times. No. So 3500 almost 3600 RPM. And in terms of the flow rate, we got a little bit less than 2 D5 pumps. We have 3 liters, now we have a 2.8. And next step would be shutting down second D5 pump, and we'll see what we get on the maximum performance. In terms of noise, it probably sounds the same as D5, maybe a little bit different tone of it. And oh, sorry, what I did, instead of shutting down 2 D5 pumps, I actually powered them all, so we went up. Most of you are probably laughing by now. Okay, so we have 1.6 on maximum speed, and in terms of RPM, it's supposed to be very close. So let's see what's RPMs happening with the D5 pump. I have it right there. I believe it's like similar. Actually, it's faster. 4800. That's the maximum RPM speed for D5 in my system. It's dead silent. I can't hear this thing. This one I can hear. I wouldn't say it's like disturbing loud, but it's there. We actually can experiment more. 3600 now here, and what we do, we equal this up and see what's happening. Alright, this off. Have you heard that sound disappear? Alright, and I will try to equalize it. It's not very easy. Approximately 36, 30-ish, 1.4. Well, it's not very scientific, but 3680, and this was 3660 or something. So 1.4 on D5 when we had 1.6 on this one. So a little bit better, but very close. So at the end of the day, it looks for me, we'll open it up and see, but as I see, it's probably a clone of D5. For simplification purposes, this basically will work pretty much as D5 pump in terms of the flow rate and performance. Alright, so we don't need this one anymore. Alrighty, we're back from the second commercial break. This one is now clean, free from any, let's connect this stuff, any unwanted liquids. I haven't flashed it with distilled, so I don't need to deal with any chemicals here. And let's remove the bracket. There's just 4 screws on the bottom. Ready? So this is out. Oh, this kind of rubber gasket of sorts with a glue. So we have this out. Probably just sits on a glue because it doesn't wiggle a second. Like, just doesn't give at all. Of course, I can go like Nathaniel and just banging on the floor trying to break it, but that idea is already taken by him, so I'm not repeating this. But honestly, there are no screws, no nothing. I just see that this is a little ring here, gets inserted in a bigger cup on the bottom, and I don't think it's serviceable, basically, for us. From the impeller itself, it's definitely not D5. From the PCB itself, it's definitely not D5. I'll try to make a picture for you later, but I can't show you how impeller looks and how motor looks. And while I'm curious, I'm not that much of evil to break good things just for sake of breaking them. So this will be end of disassembling, failed disassembling, I would say. let's just summarize what we have. From the design point of view, I think this very nicely looking system has very powerful lights on the bottom that highlight the system pretty well. You saw that red actually not the brightest color, it's actually propagate pretty good. And if you have a colored liquid, this will be look even better because it will a little bit diffuse light more. I definitely would not recommend for opaques, as I said before. In terms of performance, this is close to D5. In terms of reliability, we don't know. That will something that time will tell because it's a new product. In terms of the price, it's like half price essentially because this pump retails for $100. Not pump, the whole thing retails for $100. If you buy D5, it's 100. If you buy top and reservoir on top of it, in most cases another 100. So typical assembly with D5 pump is, which is top of the line thing for all purpose of our discussion, would be around $200. This one is basically $100, all right? So if you price conscious and you would like to take risks on potentially new product, because as I said, reliability is not known, you basically save half money, which is not a bad deal at all. And I know that a lot of people take such risks all the time. In terms of concerns, for me personally, it's only about the aluminum parts that used. So that probably would be big no for my personal system. I can't use anything that include aluminum parts. It's just not right thing. I was preaching against it for years. It will be totally oxymoronic to do it myself. And other than that, absolutely no other concerns for now as I see this product. So it's pretty interesting thing. We'll see how it will fare. I see some reviews of the system when people use them, so if something goes wrong, I guess they will tell us. But for now, it's products too new to make any conclusion in terms of long-term usability of the system. Alright guys, I hope you like this little reviews. I was really behind the schedule, but I made it! Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon guys.